Hello, welcome to Willa Candy's channel. I'm Patricia, but my channel's name is Willa Candy, and I hope everyone is doing great today on this beautiful Thursday. The sun is shining outside. It's not even summer yet. I think summer starts on the 21st. So yeah, it's letting you know, the weather is letting you know that it's going to be, really hot coming up this summer. And how is everyone doing today? I hope everyone is doing great. Today I'll be reading the Song of Solomon in my Bible. We're reading the Song of Solomon, chapter 7. And I guess Solomon, the person in the Bible, I think he's probably talking about a lover of his or something. So yeah, and I'll be sharing episode 10 of Tar Mama called Trouble Down Hibiscus Lovely. Chapter 7. How beautiful are thy feet with shoes, O princess daughter, like Lord, forgive me. The joints of thy thighs are like jewels, the work of the hands of a cunning workman. Thy navel is like a round goblet which wanteth not liquor. Thy belly is like an heap of wheat set about with lilies. Thy two breasts are like two young roes that are twins. Thy neck is as a tower of ivory, thine eyes like the fish pools in Heshbon, by the gates of Bath Rabbim. Thy nose is as the tower of Lebanon, which looketh toward Damascus. Thine head upon thee is like Carmel, and the hair of thine head like purple. The king is held in the galleries. How fair and how pleasant art state you, O love, for delights. This thy stature is like to a palm tree, and thy breast is to clusters of grapes. I said, I will go up to the palm tree, I will take hold of the boughs thereof. Now also thy breasts shall be as clusters of the vine, and the smell of thy nose like apples, and the roof of thy mouth like the best wine for my beloved that goeth down sweetly, causing the lips of those that are asleep to speak. I am my beloved's, and his desire is toward me. Come, my beloved, let us go forth into the field. Let us lodge in the villages. Let us get up early to the vineyards. Let us see if the vine flourish, whether the tender grape appear, and the pomegranates bud forth. There will I give thee my loves. The mandrakes give a smell, and at our gates are all manner of pleasant fruits, new and old, which I have laid up for thee, O my beloved. Word of the day. I'll be sharing episode 10 of Tar Mama, and on this episode it was Shelvanya and her friends. They all was hanging out at the club. It's like this club area that was like somewhere in Garrison, Michigan. They had went to this club that they usually would go to, and the women, the friends, they all just sat at this table in like this area with like a spotlight. It was more than one table in this club. Not a lot of them, like probably about a little over 10, like 12 tables. And Shelvanya was sitting at one of them, and one of Shelvanya's friends, Antoinette, who they call Louise for short, she was smoking on a cigarette and having a drink, while the rest of them just having drinks with the cups that's like this, with the like them type of drinks with the toothpick and the olive and stuff, like they just drinking and having a good time, like girl, yeah, I know what you're talking about, high five, and then like, yeah girl, I know I know what you're talking about, yeah, like they were just talking and having a casual time. And it's some guys, like random guys, they'll be coming up to the table trying to ask like one of the women out. Like they'll go up and like, hey, sweet mama, you want to go on the dance floor and tear the dance floor up? And then she'll like, no thank you. Like one of the friends would say that. And there was this one guy that pissed at Shelvanya off. It was this guy, he had like his hat like slanted like a little bit, the man that was he had his hat slanted. He like wore that long coat, like Luke and Lenny off of Good Times. The man that be saying, my name is Linne, and I got picked up by the police in front of J.C. Penney. Like Luke and Lenny, if y'all have watched it Good Times before. Well, he wore a coat just like Luke Lenny. This man looked like he fell out of the 70s, and he had like this cane with him, but he didn't even need a cane. He just thought that him walking with a cane would make him look even more cooler, like he had money or something. And he walked up to the table, had like a walk with him, like they're like, "Hey, Foxy Mama," and Shelvania like, and then he'll like say, "Have anybody ever told you how beautiful you are?" And Shelvania like, "Yes, plenty of time, and you don't have to tell me that either." And have anybody ever told you how corny you are and how tacky you are? Like, that's what Shelvania is like. And they're like, "That's cold, Mama. That's cold." You don't have to say all of that to me. No need to blow cold wind to me. I just came over to see if you wanted to get on the dance floor. And matter of fact, what is your phone number? And Shelvania like, "You know what? I actually like that coat that you have on." Shelvania was playing it off. She was like, "Come a little closer." And like, "Yeah, I done got her now. She gonna give me her phone number." He came closer, and she was like, "If you don't get up out of my face, I'm gonna put you in the wrong place. And the wrong place is 6 feet under. Are you ready?" And she pulled it out, her purse, her pew-pew. And then the man like, "Oh no." The man threw his hands up and left away from the table. So he didn't want no trouble with Shelvania. And after a while, Shelvania and her friends did end up getting on the floor dancing and stuff. It was on these nights when Shelvania hung around with her friends and Alexis was somewhere with his friends. And after a while, after having some fun and everything, Shelvania and them was leaving out of the club. They was about to leave and head someplace else, head home or at one of their houses. But Shelvania ended up planting her eyes on this girl on the outside of the club. This girl, she had long, wavy, black hair, and I mean like down to like her knees. That's how long her hair was. Wavy, shiny, black hair down to her knees. And she had like this beautiful dress on. Beautiful white floral dress on. And she just had her hand over her eyes like like crying with her shoulders jumping. And Shelvania like, oh. Like, kind of caught Shelvania's attention while the rest of the friends were, talking. They was, about to go. And Louise was the driver, because it was her car. She took all of them to the club. Shelvania, of course, didn't have no car, and the rest of them didn't. She was like, "Oh, Shelvania, where you going, girl?" And she was like, "Just hold on for a minute." And, Shelvania came up to the girl and said, are you okay? And the girl, like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for asking." And Shelvania like, "Yeah, because I couldn't help but to notice that you were crying. You were shedding tears." And the woman ended up saying like, "Yeah, had a bad breakup with a boyfriend." And Shelvania like, "Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Everything will be okay at the end of the day. You probably don't deserve, a beautiful woman, like yourself." And then Pacifica said, "Thank you for calling me beautiful." And she's like, "You're beautiful too, and I like your outfit and your hair and your nails and everything." Shelvania like, "Oh, thank you. I have a passion for fashion and everything. I love to look beautiful, before leaving out of the house and stuff like that." And the girl told Shelvania her name. Her name was Pacifica. And Shelvania, well, nice to meet you. I'm Shelvania, and these are my friends. And she introduced Antoinette and the rest of her friends to this new girl named Pacifica, who was standing on the outside of the club crying about a breakup that she had with her boyfriend. And she, like, I guess, sort of became a part of the friend group. Like, Shelvania was like, "Hey, you can hang out with us. We could, get to know you more better. You can hang out with us, start coming in the club with us and stuff, having a good time. Forget that other guy if he, left you for somebody else and stuff like that." And once she became a part of the friend group, Shelvania had invited the girl over to her place. Like, "Oh, you can also come over my place too, one day." Pacifica said, "Oh yeah, cool, that would be great." And one day, which was Shelvania's biggest mistake, is letting this Pacifica girl come in her house. She ended up letting Pacifica, spend the night at her house one day. Stay over her house one day, and Alexis was waking up. And he walked into the kitchen and he seen this girl. At first he had a glance again, cause at first he thought he was looking at Shelvanya, or Shelvanya in the kitchen cooking again. But wait a minute, it ain't Shelvanya. Like, he had to look again, cause he seen that this girl was slender, like, just, like slender, had a more slender body than Shelvanya. And Shelvanya, and he looked in the room and they were like, he opened up the room door, like, and Shelvanya was still laying in the sleep, turned it over. She was still knocked out sleeping. This girl Pacifica was in the kitchen cooking. And she was cooking like a breakfast, a different type of breakfast, like a eggs Benedict type of breakfast or something, whatever it's called. With the holidays sauce and all of that. And she turned it around and seen Alexis. You're like, oh, good morning. Your wife told me so much about you. And Alexis was like, did Shelvanya got a maid behind my back? Did she get a maid without me knowing? And Shelvanya ended up stepping out. She was waking up. Once he had asked that, Shelvanya had got out of the bed. She was stretching her like, oh, hey, baby. And she kissed him on the cheek like, oh, this is Pacifica, my friend. I had let her stayed over. She been going through some hard times, had a bad breakup with her boyfriend and stuff. And it's just like, oh, and I see that you cook breakfast. Thank you so much, girl, because I did not feel like cooking breakfast. And Pacifica says, so no problem. You two can come and eat, husband and wife. And Alexis is like, well, I don't really have enough time, to get any breakfast in me. He said, but I will, take, a piece of bacon. He thought that the woman had cooked some bacon, but he had looked on the table like, where the bacon? And then Pacifica said, bacon is unhealthy and stuff like that. And Shelvanya said, yeah, I have to agree, it is unhealthy. I'm trying to watch my figure as well, when she knows that she has been cooking bacon for the longest, right along with the other stuff that they be cooking for breakfast. And Alexis didn't want any breakfast. He just poured himself a quick glass of OJ, drunk it down, and left right out the door. And he told his friends. He ended up one day, on a day when he ain't working, he ended up telling his friends about this new girl that Shelvanya been hanging out with. And Ricochet had got close with him. You know how guys will get close together, like, hey man, come here, man. So how do you feel about another woman, on top of that, a much more beautiful woman who don't look nothing like Shelvanya at all? How you feel about her being around y'all house cooking and stuff? And Alexis said, I don't feel anything. I mean, Shelvanya is friends with her. I don't care about her coming around. And Ricochet, oh, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, you don't feel like breaking? And then Alexis like, breaking what? My vows? And then Ricochet, not exactly what I'm trying to say, but like, you don't be just crumbling once you look at her, like, see how beautiful she is. You don't be thinking about like falling. And what Ricochet is trying to say, like falling into temptation, cheating on Shelvanya. Did we ever think about cheating on Shelvanya with this girl named Pacifica? And Alexa like, heck no, I love my wife. I don't care how beautiful Pacifica is, I love my wife, and I'm gonna always, be attracted to my wife and stay with my wife. And Ricochet said, man, it couldn't have been me, man. If a beautiful woman was working around my house and I was married to somebody looking like, your wife, I would have, crumbled. That's what Ricochet said. And he said, well, that's what you would have had done. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay faithful. I love my wife, and that's that. That's what Alexis has said. Well, one day, when Shelvanya wasn't around, she had to go out and do some errands with her mother and her sisters. And it was just Alexis and Pacifica in the house. And, Alexis, he was bent over in the bathroom. He was like brushing his teeth, brushing all around in his mouth, spitting it out in the sink or whatever, rinsing his mouth out and whatever. He had no idea that Pacifica was creeping up behind him in the bathroom. See, she been having her eyes on him lately. He had no idea that this girl has been watching him, the whole time. She be talking to Shelvanya like, hell yeah, girl. Heck yeah, girl. I know what you're saying. And had her eyes on Shelvanya's husband the whole time. I was trying to say heck yeah. But she was creeping up behind him, and she ended up putting her finger down his neck like that. And you know, Alexis turned around like, what are you doing in here? Like, he was like, what, Pacifica, what you doing in here? You scared the crap out of me. And like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I scare you? And they were like, yeah, you scared the crap out of me. Like, what you doing in here? Like that. And she's like, oh, I was just seeing what my husband was doing in here. And Alexis looked back at her like, husband? When did we ever get married? Because last time I checked, my wife is with her mother and her sisters. We is not married. And Pacifica said, oh, you talk so silly. And then she was like, so, how long have you and Shelvania been married with each other? You know, I know that you feel so miserable with her, you know, laying right beside her. She taking up space and everything. And Alexis was like, well, we've been married for some years. We've been together since we were teenagers. She's the love of my life, and she's going to stay the love of my life. That's what Alexis has said. You know, Alexis had left about the bathroom, and Pacifica was just following behind him everywhere he went. And she was like, well, have you ever thought about, you know, having your eyes for someone else? And he was like, no, my eyes is going to only be on my wife. That's what Alexis had said. And then she was like, well, Alexis, I got something to tell you. I like you. I want you. And you have no choice but to want me. And Alexis looked at her like she had two heads, like, lady, is you crazy? I'm married. I am not attracted to you at all. Like, I'm sorry. You know, I don't know what you plan in your mind. If you think that something, that we have some type of chemistry or anything. I was just going along with my wife, and my wife said that you know, needed to, you know, crash here. You know, I did not mind because, you know, I love, you know, I respect everything what Shelvania says because she's my wife. And Pacifica says, so you mean to tell me that you don't find me attractive? You know, like, look at me and look at your wife. Look at me and look at Shelvania. Like, you really gonna turn me down? You're like, heck yeah, I am. Yes, I am. Like, I'm not attracted to you at all, lady. What part of that are you not getting in your mind? And Pacifica just kept coming on to him, like, just stronger and stronger and stronger. And then she started to, you know, like, kind of loosen up the top part of her, you know, pull down the top part of her dress and stuff. Just getting very inappropriate towards Alexis. And she got so close up on him where he could feel her breath. And, you know, her breath was touching his face. And they were like, Pacifica, you need to back up, son. And like, but Alexis, she doesn't have to know. And like, she grabbed onto his collar like that and tried to pull him closer. Like, she doesn't have to know. And then Les like, no, I don't want to kiss you. And they were like, just pucker up, lover. And she was like trying to kiss him. And right when that was about to happen, Shelvania, the door had flew open, and Shelvania has seen Alexis and Pacifica really close with each other in an inappropriate way. And then the Shelvania like, what the heck is going on? What the H-E to the double hockey sticks is going on in here? And Pacifica, guess what she did? She fixed her dress, you know, adjusted everything up on her, fixed her hair, and like, I have no idea. Your husband said that you and him are divorced. You are not together. Like, she made up a complete lie. And Shelvania believed it, and Alexis looked at her like she was crazy, like, I can't believe, like, you gonna tell a lie when you was just coming on to me before she even busted through the door. Like, Alexis was looking at her in that way, and Shelvania believed her, like, oh, really? And Pacifica said, I am so sorry about this, you know, let me just get on up out of here. Like, she's pretending like she didn't do anything wrong, got her purse and just left. And Shelvania, she just took her ring off. She was like, well, you can forget about this marriage because it is over. Prepare for divorce papers. And she had ripped the ring off, and she threw it so far. That it had hit like against the floor and the wall in the kitchen. And thankfully it didn't go down no sink drain or anything like that. And you know, Alexis tried to come up and explain like baby, nothing happened between us. She came on to me. She kept coming on to me in an inappropriate way. I'm telling you the truth. Like, you got to understand. And when he tried to explain, she smacked the crap out of him. Fell to the floor and did like this. And she'll like, you can forget about this marriage. You ain't gonna never hear from me again. I hate you and stuff like that. She was just in tears, and she had left out the door. And yeah, Alexis' marriage was, messed up, for a while. Shavanya brought the news back to her mother and her sisters, saying that Alexis, she caught him cheating on her with Pacifica and everything. And the mother was like, what? And the sister was like, yeah, you need to divorce him. We've been telling you that he's no good. Yeah, you need to leave him alone. And Shavanya was just in tears, like, I can't believe that he'll do me like that. I just can't believe it. Like, she was doing it. And Alexis went back to his friends and told what had happened and everything. He was like, this girl came on to me and then told a lie when Shavanya had caught her trying to come on to me. Told a lie and turned it all around, saying that I was coming on to her. And Ricochet said, well, I wouldn't care if if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't care if Shavanya left out the door. I would have went on ahead and been with Pacifica. I would have went on ahead and married her instead. That's what Ricochet has said. And once Alexis said, what's the point of even talking to you? I got to fix my marriage. And that's what he did. He tried to go to Mrs. Shepherd's house. Mrs. Shepherd would not open up the door. She would not open up the door at all for him. So he went on the side of the house, and he had got a rock, not a big rock, just like this size. And he had threw it at Shavanya's bedroom window, because even though Shavanya had her own place with him, she still had her old bedroom at her mama's house. And once he threw the rock at the window, Shavanya had opened up the window door. She's like, get away from my mama's house before I come out there and beat your behind like I did when we was kids. And she closed the window. And Alexis was like, nothing happened between us. You got to believe me. Like he had yelled that. And Shavanya didn't come back to the window, so he was still yelling out her name. And they were like, Shavanya, please come out. I got something to say to you. Nothing happened. And the reason why he paused is because Shavanya's mama, Mrs. Shepherd, she came out with a skillet. She's like, if you don't get away from my daughter's bedroom window in the next few seconds, I'm about to pop you upside your... And he had took off running. So he had no choice but to run. So it was just Alexis and his friends at the house. Shavanya did not come back to the apartment. And Alexis, was just trying to figure out in his mind what he's supposed to do. And Ricochet, no, not Ricochet, one of his friends named Memphis King. Memphis had came up to him and said, I'm going to tell you what you could do. Don't even worry about it. Your marriage is not over. And Ricochet said, well, it needs to be over. He said, would you shut up? I'm talking to him. Like, listen, all you got to do is call Shavanya over. And then Alexis said, how am I going to call her over? Her mother chased me with a skillet. And she don't want to talk to me. Like, she don't want to have anything to say to me or do with me. And Memphis said, just listen, man. You call her over and tell her that you set up, you call her over and tell her to get into the closet area. You tell her to get into the closet area, and you set the whole thing up. You make sure to call over Pacifica. Have her hide in the closet. Call Pacifica over so she could see for herself that you didn't do anything wrong. That's what Memphis had told Alexis to do, and Alexis thought about, I don't think that's gonna work. Then he thought about, like, well, you know what? I might just have to do that. I'm gonna just try it. Maybe I'll have some luck with doing that. And that's what he did. Shavanya, he ended up calling like over 17 times, and right after the 29th time, on the 30th call, Shavanya ended up answering like, "What do you want?" And Alexis was like, "I miss you. I love you. I didn't do anything wrong." And then she was like, "Yes, you did. You cheated on me, and I want to have nothing to do with you, and we're going to get a divorce." And before she hung up, he was like, "Wait. Listen, can you please just come over?" And then she was like, "What you want me to come over for?" And they were like, "I need to show you something. I got proof. I got proof that I didn't do anything wrong." And Shavanya thought about like, okay, whatever. And she hung up the phone. She ended up coming over with her purse. And once she walked in there, Leslie's like, "Oh my God, I miss you, baby. Give me a kiss." Like, she was like, "It ain't gonna be none of that until I see what the heck you was talking about." And Leslie was like, "Well, I'm gonna just say this like this. If you see my proof that I didn't do any kind of cheating on you with Pacifica, you owe me a mean back rub. You owe me a back rub and a foot rub." That's what Lexi said. And then she said, "Well, what if I don't see anything?" And they were like, "Well, you just do what you want to do." She was like, "It will be a divorce automatically." She said, "But I'll do what you want me to do." He's like, "Seriously, Shavanya, I did not do anything wrong." And right when the doorknob started rattling on the front door, that means that Pacifica was at the door. She was about to head in. Alexa was like, "Okay, there she go. You could go in the closet. Go. Like he was doing that, and Shavanya was like, "All right, don't be rushing me." And she had walked it casually right into the closet. He shut the door and locked it to the closet. And it was like this closet door you could see like right through it, like like the vents that be like inside the houses and stuff, the vents where the air blow into. It's like made like almost like the vent like in front of the closet door where you're able to see through the slits. And Shavanya was watching through the slits the whole time when Pacifica had came in. And she was like, "Hey, Alexis, is your wife here with you?" And Alexis was like, "Nah, we got a divorce. She left me, all because of the lie you told. Like, why would you tell her that lie?" And Pacifica said, "Well," she came walking up to him closely and touching on his shirt, like, "Don't touch me." And then she was like, "Well," she was still trying to touch on his shirt and stuff done, but like, "Well, I'm sorry. I just wanted to have you all to myself." She was doing that. Like, "What part of I don't want to be with you don't you well, you know what? I understand what you mean. I can't help that I'm a handsome guy." Alexis started thinking about it because he forgot that Shavanya was in the closet. He was like, "I can't help that I'm a handsome guy." And then he'll like, "You know what? Maybe we should, start something, the two of us together, alone." That's what Alexis did. She's like, "Yes, baby, I'm so glad that you have made an agreement with me." And right before Pacifica could make a kiss, Shavanya busted out of the closet. And then she was like, the closet door was locked, by the way. She busted out of that closet and broke the doorknob off of the closet and everything. The closet door and everything. She was like, "You helpful. You stupid. I see what you're trying to do. Okay then. All right." She'll start taking off her earrings. And no, it's not what you think. She said, "It is what I think. You turned it around and told a lie on my husband. Had me to be mad with him when the whole time he was telling me the truth about you. You ain't nothing but a low down, dirty, nasty skank." That's what Shavanya was calling Pacifica. Pacifica said, "No, I'm not no skank." She said, "You is skankish, and I'm about to give you a skankish behind." And then you're like, "Hold my earrings, Alexis." Alexis held the earrings, but Alexis had took off running because right when Pacifica thought she was able to leave right out the front door to keep forgetting the beat down for Shavanya, Shavanya's sister started busting in through the front door. Like, you thought you were gonna go somewhere. And Shavanya and Shavanya's sisters and Pacifica in the middle. She could not win at all with all them women ganging up on her, and it was just a big old scuffle. And Alexis had hid himself in the bedroom, and all I could say is Pacifica had left out of town, and she had made sure to lose contact with Shavanya and all of them, and she knew not to creep up on anybody man ever again. And Shavanya, Shavanya did end up giving Alexis his back rub and apologizing to him and everything. Like, I'm sorry, rubbing his back and everything. Like, yeah, I understand that. A little bit over to the left. Alexis was telling her that. And that's basically the end of this episode called Trouble Down the Hibiscus Love Lane. And I hope you like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. Thanks for the support. For the new YouTubers, I wish you all the best. I hope you all have more subscribers and everything. I hope and pray I get more subscribers. And if God's will, there'll be more videos. Please drive safely out there. Love one another. Treat everyone with respect. Goodbye. God bless you. And have a great day.